Hey girl, hey. I'm so glad we're finally doing this.
How long have you been doing this?
Weeks. Literally.
Weeks?
Whenever we had the thing in Arkansas,
I remember.
and I was talking to some folks there about it, and I was like, I'm really going to do this. And I went home and I moved forward with it. So I kicked it off in May. That's why I say weeks, because it's been like 8 weeks.
Arkansas was what, in April?
Mm-hmm.
And then you went in full-fledged. You didn't take a break. Like sometimes you think of something and then you just don't pursue it. And then 6 months later, and you still haven't pursued something that you've been wanting to do.
My personality is the exact opposite. By the time I'm telling somebody about it, I'm already kind of doing it.
That's awesome.
I don't know. My decisiveness has always been my blessing and my curse, but isn't that how life is? So anyhow, let's dive into today's episode because I know it's one that will leave a mark on people's hearts. It's about life, love, and lockup. And I want to welcome my very special guest, Choya. Welcome to the Bernitha Rena Relates Podcast. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I think your story, while it's unique, a lot of people can relate to it. Before we get into all that heavy stuff, I just want to know about you, your life, growing up. Can you tell me about your younger years and what that looked like for you?
Yes, I can. I was the youngest girl of 4 children. My sister is the oldest, my brother, me, and then I have a little brother. So mom was a single mother most of her years. At one point, we had a stepdad that was kind of abusive back in the 80s. He got into drugs and things like that. So I think he had an issue with a neighbor. And next thing you know, he went to prison for self-defense. But we ended up moving to the country to protect ourselves. I think their family was threatening our family because the murder was basically someone who probably was in the streets. And this is back in the 80s. So I think I started school in the country, maybe in the 3rd grade. When I say country, it was Guthrie. We were the only Black kids on the bus. One bus from the kindergarten kids to the high school kids. And we'd walk, I'd say half a mile to our bus stop. I lived there from like 3rd grade to 7th grade. I came to Oklahoma City in public school.
Okay.
Well, we lived in the country for maybe 4 years. And we came back to the city. And from there, we stayed in an area where we just grew up until my mom, she decided to move to the country again. So she's in the country now. But early on, after moving to the country, I did experience child abuse. I was molested. We ended up having to get a little bit more help because mama couldn't do it all by herself. So we ended up going to our grandparents' house, and that's where it started.
Listen, if you feel like you need to take a moment, take a few minutes, stop, you let me know, okay?
Yeah, so I really have a vague memory of a lot of my childhood. I don't know if it's because of that trauma or adult trauma, not adult trauma, but when I got older, I did hit my head on the concrete. So I'm like, is that what did it? But a lot of my childhood memory is not clear, but I can remember that. The first time it happened, I was told not to say anything. I was told that nobody's going to believe me, stuff like that. I really feel like I have healed from it. When I got older, me and my mom had talked about some stuff, and she mentioned some things that I said to her that I don't remember saying. So I don't remember nothing but just like that one time. I don't even remember like telling my mom, but I think I definitely have it like covered up. So that was
you block some things out, maybe?
Yeah, I would definitely say that because I like even telling her, it probably was within like we stayed with our grandparents for maybe like after he did that and had to go to prison, we left at our house. So when we was in the country, one day our grandparents were coming down our road. We lived pretty far, but you could see when somebody was coming into the road that we lived on. My mom said that I just started getting real hysterical, couldn't breathe. And then she just made me tell her what had happened. And I had at that time told her that my grandpa had been bothering me. Me and my sister had conversations where she felt like she should have said something because it happened to her, but she didn't. So that was the beginning of the trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So eventually you moved away, it sounds like.
So even though that happened at that moment when it first happened, I just didn't tell her anything. But we moved to the country probably within 6 months. It could have been longer, but I would say about 6 months. And one day they were coming to visit, and that's when I told her. But it was times where my mom would be at work.
Yeah.
Would come over there. But I remember, we had a pretty long house and there was this long breezeway. But I remember that he would come out there sometimes, but I don't remember him bothering me. He always used to have suckers, and they were like green and purple, and they were flat.
Mm-hmm.
He always had those suckers, and he would give them to us. I don't know why he was coming to the country. I cannot remember. And I think I pushed out what was going on at that time, even had it been with me. But yeah, I would definitely say that after I spoke, it never happened again to me. But I can't say with my sister. I really don't know. Back then, they swept stuff under the rug a lot. My mom, she would visit grandma and just stay in a car like she couldn't get out. So she wanted to protect her mom. I don't know if it was humiliation or what. I think that, if it wasn't for her, that she would have did this and did that. As I had gotten older, I went to therapy, and my therapist was like, you have anger issues with your mother because she did not protect you. And I'm like, really? I didn't know, but it's unconscious probably.
Yeah.
I know that when I started having my kids really didn't go to people's houses. I didn't really care about who. I trust my mom, but that's probably the only person that I would say I trust 100%. And some people you just think you can, because I'm sure she trusted her dad, would never know and believe and think that could happen. But at the end of the day, I'm really cautious of where even my granddaughter goes, because I do have her a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is married, and I'll be like, are you going to be there?
Right.
You can make sure you have her. And sometimes I'm like, your judgment ain't the best. I may not say that to her, but I may think that, Then you protected somebody. At the end of the day, I say protected him because I feel like anything like that will happen off the top. Reported.
It was not prosecuted.
Back then, they would let you press charges. Back in the early 80s, you have to actually press. Now the state picks up everything. I think the state finally did, maybe around 96, 7. I do recall him going to trial for a neighbor's kid. And it was across the street, this little girl across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were looking for me, but they were looking for my sister to testify. And I remember during that time when they wanted my sister to testify, that my mom was wanting her to kind of like stay underground. It was always grandma's sake, I guess, but she wanted my sister not to be supportive with the case. And I remember my sister would talk about how her and mom had a little argument. Mama was saying, stuff to her. It's like they were not wanting her to testify or whatever. And I feel like he did it to us. He did it to her. At that time, I remember my grandma would be like, that girl is lying on him, but I know she came from the old days where that stuff was probably common. She probably grew up with that. My grandpa. So I did finally get to confront him.
Oh,
yeah, I did. He went to prison for some years. And what was so crazy is, girl, he was in prison. And my grandmother passed when he was gone. She endured a lot because even when she was with him, like my mom tells me stories about when they were young, but even when they were older, we would go over there. There was no caller ID. So it would be women calling that phone and they'd hang up and then grandma would be arguing. It was like, we would call toxic today. They would cuss, and I don't understand how people can be dealing with that. But back then, it was like you just stay forever, and I don't think we live in those times anymore. Some people will stay forever, but I do think it would be mentally draining. I think that that's the cause of autoimmune issues. I think it could be men too, because some men deal with the same abuse. Me, my grandma, and my mama visited him in prison. It was a time where I took her to see him. So grandma died in 2002. He didn't get out till probably somewhere around 11 maybe. But by the time he got out, I had realized that I wanted to confront him. Actually, me and my ex-husband was going to therapy. It was the best therapist I've had before because she was specific on the same day. It wasn't like you got to come back a few more times for me to kind of get this down. But she was basically letting us know about both of our childhood trauma.
Yeah.
So I had decided to write a letter and I wanted to confront him about it. So I told my sister, even though this was about me, because I wanted my closure.
Right.
So I allowed my sister to be involved. I told my mom. And I told my aunt, I guess it was something about my aunt too when they were young, I think.
Oh, wow.
But she left early on as a young adult. And I think that's why she left. But when I was doing this, mama wanted my aunt to be there. So by the time I get there, nobody was there. And it was very frustrating because I waited like 20 minutes. This is my story. This is my time. This is what I want to do. Nobody else wanted to do this. So I'm not going to worry about this or that. So by the time I went in, I think my sister was there. And I just was like, I want to ask you, why did you do that to me? Why would you touch your daughter's kids like that? Where did that come from? He told me that he had dealt with molestation when he was young. And I'm like, wow. And it was by men, I think. So he had dealt with it as a child, and I think it just poisoned him or what. So I did that, and I felt like I got it off my chest. In 2018, he was in a nursing home and he was about to die. And I went to visit him and I told him that I forgave him. But at the end of the day, people have hidden agendas or hidden secrets, because if that happened to him in his childhood, just imagine, and not even that, imagine who all else was experiencing this,
Right.
So true. My kids, I was always strict on where they went. And if I left them, they would just be together. My sister would have my kids at one point because she had a daycare. I never really was one to have them all over the place. And I think that even the next generation, they have to be taught a lot of that. But yeah, that was my childhood. My mom and dad were married for maybe a few years. My brother above me, we have the same father. So he was military. They separated. But most often, like I said, my mama was a single mom. So she had my little brother and it was just us. She would have different people around. But I think a lot of times women, when they're young and maybe they lack something at home, tend to look for stuff in men. And I think that could have also interfered with her decision. But sometimes that stuff will trickle on to the children. So there you have it.
I am so sorry that happened to you. None of that was your fault or your sister's fault. I know you know that. I just want to say it. Thank you for being so vulnerable.
You're welcome.
Tell me a little bit about your kids.
Sure. So my oldest kid, I had him in high school. I was 15.
Okay.
And we grew up together. When he was about 6, that's when I had my daughter. He was turning 7 maybe. Me and their dad was like young, having a kid. I was one of those quiet girls. You wouldn't even knew I was pregnant until I was at the end of it, because I was just covering the secret up. I was hiding it. Yeah, because I think I was very shameful. I was 14, my first time that it happened. I got pregnant. But yeah, my kids' father and them, they lived like next door to us. We were young. And yeah, me and the father was together for 9 years. And then I ended up having my daughter. She was born premature. She was in the hospital for like 100 days. She weighed 1 pound, 7 ounces. It was pretty tough. I had to learn how to drive to go visit her on the back roads. It was just them two for a while. And then me and their father ended when my daughter was a couple years old. And then I ended up getting with my younger 2 boys' father. I would go out and there was this guy that was really attracted to me, but I wasn't paying him no attention. He knew this guy who was kin to my kid's dad.
Okay.
And had probably seen a picture of me at his relative's house.
Okay.
And I think he kind of fell in love with a picture. That's what he would tell me. He was persistent. And because he was persistent, we started talking. And then we became like friends. And there we have it. We had our 2 babies. And I would definitely say my 3rd baby was my love child. I was like trying to have a baby. I don't even know why. My baby boy was my experience. At that point, me and my other 2 dads, we broke up because when I got pregnant, he basically was like, you finna be by yourself with this baby. I don't want to do this no more. I always say he got me pregnant on purpose because we had an issue. He had got in some trouble and he went to do 9 months away. Right before he left, we was already on bad terms, real bad. And it was so bad that like when he left, I didn't even really know he was leaving. So it was a shock to me. We fought the night before. I had said some mean stuff to him and I didn't realize that he was really leaving. But he went to court and he didn't come back the next day. And I was so devastated. But I started going out and I ran into this guy that I went out on a date with, but nothing pursued because in between me dating him, I would be like breaking up with my first kid's dad and then get back together. But I would see him out. He was handsome. We just became friends and we would talk. But then we went out. And from there, girl, we became lovers. Me and him became lovers. So this is what happened with my kid's dad. I say he left me on purpose. So what happened is when he got out, it was difficult. That was the only time in my life where I would say that I can understand how it is to have like people who are cheaters. I do think it's stressful. It's a very stressful environment because nobody's ever happy. But when my kid's dad got out, me and dude couldn't really see each other. Sometimes I would try to, but it wasn't the same. My kid's dad was gone. We were true lovers. That's the only word, the only person I would ever say that about. He was like my dude when my kid's dad got out. So he got that information, but he didn't ever tell me. So my birthday had came one year and I had a birthday party. My kid's dad came up here for my party and then we ended up spending afterwards together. It was so crazy how he did it. He proposed to me and then he confessed a lot of different things that he had did. And I was getting mad. So I was like, I can't wait to tell you this. And plus, I had been wanting to say it because it didn't feel right holding that information in about this relationship that I had. I couldn't wait to get it off my chest. It was like a relief. So I told him and he couldn't forgive me.
he actually knew about the love triangle.
I think he knew. Yeah, he knew. But he acts like he never knew. But that's why he confesses, because he was wanting me to do it.
Oh, so he finally got some dirt on her.
Yeah.
Now let me tell all my stuff.
Exactly. And that's what happened. This is where the story twists. So I was on Section 8. I didn't have to pay much because I would pay the difference. I took myself off of Section 8. We moved to a house that was closer to my job. So it was full rent, and he left me, girl. I had rent that was expensive. I didn't even know if I wanted to have my son. I was praying about this baby every day. I'm like, what I'm going to do? So I kept praying. I was at work one day. I left my cell phone at home. I was praying, like, what I'm going to do with this baby. So I ended up driving home from work on a 15-minute break. I'm going to go sneak home and go get my phone, and I'm going to come back. So I'm going home, and there was a 4-way street, but in front of me was a big truck, and I couldn't see above the truck or see over the truck to see what color the light was. That truck ended up going straight. I hurried up and tried to do a quick left because I'm thinking it's a green light. It wasn't a green light for me to go left. It was one of those lights where you got to wait and let the people cross and go. And I got hit. I had a car wreck, but my car was still movable. Drove home, got my phone, went back to work, and I'm pregnant, and I did not miss one call. And I was so mad because I'm like, why did I go get my phone? And nobody even called me. So I ended up getting back to work, and then I called the doctor, and they told me to come in. And because he was still okay, I decided that was my message to keep my baby. I don't believe that God is ever going to tell you to get rid of that baby. You're not going to hear that. So I knew that I wanted to name him like a biblical name. And Isaiah came to mind. And when I realized what Isaiah meant, it means salvation of God. So I'm like, okay, he was supposed to be here. I waited 4 months before anybody knew. And then my kid's dad, he knew that I was debating on not having them. So he told the kids that I was pregnant so that I would be, you're not going to do nothing. He was outside, and here I am with this kid. And that's how it was. We quit dealing with each other all that time. My third child ended up getting into football, going to play football, practicing and stuff. Me and the coach ended up dating. We started dating in 2008. We got married in 2012. And then we were divorced in 2014. He was a great guy, really kind of like a square. I probably was less of a square than he was. I was still going out. Even though he was a good guy, he still had flaws. Would go through things, break up, and then he'd disappear for the weekend, and we'd go back together. But, it was like a lot of that. I think therapy is important. At the end, when we did do it, it was more so like me trying to give him an ultimatum. I would say we just didn't give each other enough time to grow,
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I left. It was traumatizing, too, because a divorce is like a death. You mourn. Then my oldest was having a baby. I was depressed about him doing that because I felt like it was the wrong time for him to be trying to have a kid. So I was like, you know what? It's not about you. It's about him. Once I accepted that, I was good. Eventually, I ran into my husband now. Now, I met him out of prison the first time, and he had did 16 years. So he was out for about 6 years. In those 6 years, I met him. I met him when he first got out. And how I met him is his sister was my friend, but she never was trying to hook me up with him, nothing like that. She wasn't like that, but we were just friends. We was really good friends. Like we could talk, we could chit chat. I was cool with our friendship. Somewhere there, he was wanting to get serious, and I didn't want to get serious with him because I'm like, nah, you just ain't finna be having me looking for you, doing all that crazy stuff. I'm good. I'm a pass. As time went by, I think maybe he went into my messenger, and then I just gave him a chance, and we talked. We got to see each other, and then we talked ever since from that day forward. He did tell me, hey, I'm in some trouble. I am going to be having to do some time soon. Going from that day forward, we talked every day. We were together. At one point, he ended up coming for maybe a month because he was supposed to be leaving, but he was like on some bounty hunter stuff. Then he came back, and the bounty hunters ended up getting him. He went to prison for about 6 years.
So let's just go through the timeline a little bit. So you had already known each other.
I've already known him.
Friendly with one another. And when you decided to start dating each other, he was open. Hey, I'm about to do some time.
Right.
And so you were fully aware of that.
Fully aware of it.
At one point, he did move up to where you were because he wasn't ready to do his time, right?
He was there for It was probably a few weeks at the most. I've never done that before. Even though my kid's dad was gone for 9 months, it was like a boot camp. It wasn't the same. Prison and boot camp is a little different.
How did you maintain your relationship? And what made you say, yeah, I'm going to stick by my man as he's walking out 6 years of incarceration?
How we maintained it was just basically me being available. I looked forward to talking to him, wrote him. I would go visit him, accept calls, or either he'd have a phone and we just talked. I can't even believe myself. Like, I can slap myself for some of the stuff I did. What made me do it, I definitely would say that I was vulnerable. If I could go back to my old me, I would not have done it because I wouldn't want my daughter to do that. I would have just said, hey, we could be friends. And when you get out, call me. Or we could be friends, write your letter a couple of times or whatever, but I'm not going to put myself on hold. If I look back at it, I was in my late 30s. It's just the fact that some people are a little bit more selfish where they don't want you to be gone, or maybe somebody else will have you. Because when you're a good person, you can definitely be a good person, but the person's going to change because they want to. It's not going to be because you. That's where I'm at right now. We are going to start counseling at the end of the month. We are separated. He tends to still check on us and stuff like that. But I'm getting to the point where less is best for me. I'm to the point where I feel like I can make a decision based on what I want. What do I want to do with myself?
Do you ever look back and feel like, I wish I had not put my life on hold?
I was okay with getting married while he was incarcerated because I felt like, well, if I'm going to be dumb, at least I'll be dumb and married. But you really don't know a person until you do the work. He's very much a sweet person, very charming, nice, very handsome, very attractive. But still, he outside from 8 to 5 and he's
doing what?
Shops, selling cars, moving around. Even with the therapy is not going to stop you from infidelity. Therapy is not going to stop you from the things that you know is wrong. Not to mention that you've even dealt with some people that I end up getting into it with when you was gone because of you. It's like, my enemy ain't your enemy. I would definitely say that just now coming to terms with like, okay, I have the opportunity right now to either continue on or just embrace me, take care of me, and just put me first? Or do I want to put everybody else first again? And I'm leaning on putting me first, you know.
If you could go back and tell the younger you anything, what would you say?
I would definitely say be selfish with yourself. Take care of your kids. Outside of your kids, be selfish with yourself. Pay attention to red flags and trust your instinct. Trust your gut. You have everything you need. Just take time. Don't jump into things. Don't move so fast. You're not validated because of a relationship. Love yourself. And once you love yourself, then you can allow for others to love you. Because if you love yourself, then you know what kind of love that you are willing to accept, because there's different levels of love. Understand what it is that you like. I would definitely be selfish with me.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm so grateful that you would be so vulnerable and share your story. I'm so appreciative you took the time to be with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, doll. I appreciate you. At the end of the day, life is about evolving, growing into the woman you were always meant to be. And sometimes that means choosing you first, before the approval, before the relationship, and before the man. Because healing, maturity, and peace, it all begins within. For more stories like these, please follow me on Instagram at Bernitha Rena Relates and on Facebook at Bernitha Rena Relates Podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast. Thanks for listening. I love you for it. We'll talk soon.
What's been done is done again. Same old story, different pen.